Hello, everybody. Today, I am going to be interviewing one of my really good friends. He is an engineer, civil engineer, and he's going to be sharing with us his accomplishments throughout high school, how he managed to get accepted into the University of Florida with a full ride scholarship to major in civil engineering, how he managed to get a job that helps him do amazing things like building hospitals, building an airline headquarters, and currently he is working on helping build a clinic. And not to mention, Daniel was also the salutatorian at his high school. So a pretty smart kid. He's pretty involved. He's pretty cool. And he is my dear friend. So I'm really excited to get this party going. Daniel, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Introduction like that, I'll come back next week.
Without further ado, let's talk about your story, your life, and how you managed to get a full ride at the University of Florida. So, Daniel, tell me, where are you from? Where's your family from? And a little bit about your upbringing.
My family's from Mexico. I grew up in Central Florida, real agricultural town as well, rural community. And I just grew up with a very loving family and a very supportive one. And I also grew up in what you could call a competitive family. So I have 3 older brothers, and to be honest with you, they really helped pave my way into figuring out what I wanted to do with myself and figure out what I wanted to do in life later on, and kind of helped me see the options that I had available with universities, with life, and just so many different things that I had the opportunity to, be a part of growing up.
It's so cool to see because I'm also from a big family. I have also 3 brothers, and we are all quite competitive growing up. So it's cool to see and relate to something and see also how positive competition can be if you know how to use it, because it helped you. And we will talk a little bit more about how your brother helped you when it came to choosing a school and finding out resources and, what eventually led to you getting a full ride. So I think it's really cool. I think it's really, really exciting. And well, thanks for sharing that with us. I would like to kind of talk about high school because, a lot of people who are watching us are probably wondering, okay, how did he manage to go to UF with a full ride? So let's get into those that topic. So as I mentioned, and I know this, but for the people watching and listening to us, Daniel was the salutatorian at his high school. And that is an insane accomplishment. I know at my high school, valedictorian and salutatorian were things that people kind of like not wrestled, but they were like, kind of working towards getting, and they were in a competition to get to that spot because it's not an easy thing to do. So my question to you is, what motivated you to try to be salutatorian? Was it something that just happened, or was something that you were aiming for? Because it does take a lot of work to be in that position.
To be honest with you, it was something that I really went into the mindset going into high school that I knew I wanted to finish up within the top 5 ranking of my class. And I knew going into freshman year, the classes mattered at that point. It's not to say it's the end all be all if you didn't care necessarily about your classes freshman or sophomore year, but I knew going into high school that they mattered. And I knew since then I had to be on top of it. And it was just something that I strived for since the beginning because of my competitive nature, I guess. And because my older brother, he finished in the top 5. So as a younger brother, for me, it was like, that's my minimum. I can't be worse than that. And obviously I want to be better than that.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And honestly, Francisco, out of all of us, my younger brother, if you're talking statistics or, if you're being technical, he did better than all of us. We all did great, but he was, in the top 3%. He went to the bigger school. If I was the vice president of something, he was the president. So I definitely see a pattern there of being a younger brother and how it can, if you use it to your advantage and to motivate you, it can lead to amazing things. So that is awesome. And I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure maybe people will relate to this.
Mhm.
So now that we know that you were a very competitive and academics were a big part of your high school journey, I
Mhm.
would like to also talk a little bit about extracurriculars. What type of student was Daniel when he was in high school overall? What were you into? What were you, maybe clubs were you a part of? Tell me a little bit about that.
I, I think I think in high school I was a very social butterfly, you could say.
You still are.
So yeah. So apart from just my grades, I was also heavily involved in athletics throughout the different sports seasons. So I did the cross country, I did the soccer, and then I did the baseball a few years. Um, but it wasn't just, if athletics isn't your thing, that isn't there. There's still a lot of other opportunities you can be involved with without school. So I was also part of, like the drama club or student government and National Honor Society. There's different things that you can start doing, or if there's not a club that interests you at your school, you can always talk to a teacher or an advisor within the school about starting your own club. And as long as you get the support of one staff, usually you're able to make your own little club. And that really shows you universities leadership skills and leadership roles that you're taking on. And that's something universities really look at, I feel like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They want kids not only that are involved, but they are driven and that are leaders. And clearly, I mean, from everything that you shared with me, it was obvious because if I would have looked at your application, okay, I would have seen, okay, this smart kid, he's salutatorian, second in his class. But I also would have seen that you were involved, that you were not only just focused in academics. And that's something that college admissions officers want to see. So that's awesome, and I can clearly see why you ended up getting accepted to UF, one of the top schools in the country, and also getting a full ride. So it's thank you for sharing that. And now we know what schools you got accepted into, and I mentioned that you majored in civil engineering, but I would like to kind of take it back and ask you, why or when did you start thinking about college? Was it something that you always knew that you wanted? Was it in high school? When did that, realization that I want to go to college and get a college degree, when did that happen?
Like I said, going into high school, I knew I wanted to rank high, but it was towards more the end of my sophomore year where I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do with this? It's fine and dandy that I got good grades, but I need to apply. I want this to apply to my next stage in life.
Mhm.
So it was around that point where I started to figure out, okay, I want to go to college. I want to go to a university. I want to pursue a career, but also I hadn't really decided my career at that point. But it's not necessarily all about that I feel like at that stage, and it's more of, okay, kind of what schools do I want to go to, or what do I feel would be a good fit for me?
Not everybody knows, that from the get-go that they want to go to college. I mean, for sure, I wasn't even sure that I wanted to. I thought that I was going to be a dancer, and then I realized all the opportunities are that I could do theater in college. And you start realizing, okay, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And you start thinking and you start realizing, wow, I could continue to do this one thing I'm passionate about if I go to college. And a lot of people don't know that they could continue their sports, they could continue their, maybe artistic passions, even if it's something as not simple, but something like playing video games. Nowadays, colleges have literally esports teams where students get scholarships to be part of the esport team and compete for their college. And some kids even get $50,000 scholarships to do this, where maybe if you thought about this a few years back, you would have been like, what is this?
Yeah.
So there are a bunch of opportunities out there. And I think it's really cool when students kind of just give it a chance, or just start researching and see, okay, if I did go to college, what are my options and what could I continue, or what could I do if I do pursue that? So it's really cool that it wasn't always something that you started high school with. And even though you were competitive enough to be like, I want to be in at least the top 5%, college wasn't even a thing when you first started high school. Or maybe it was, but it wasn't like, okay, I definitely want to pursue this.
It wasn't the number one priority at that time,
Mhm.
and it was just more of I'll I'll cross that bridge when I get there.
Mhm.
But I knew I'd have to have a good foundation to be able to get to the next state.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And speaking of foundations or, college, when researching or when you started actually, okay, I'm going to pursue this, I want to get a college degree or go to college or at least try it. What was it that you were looking for? What was the criteria that you were looking for in a college? What was, I don't know, maybe size of the school, location, career? What were the specific things that you wanted to a school to have?
More than anything, it was the program that they offered. So I grew up in Florida, so I was just more familiar with all the universities throughout Florida. And one thing you have to take into account is all these different universities. They usually have some are better suited in one type of degree than others, or a college within that university that they're you know they're known for. And I knew the University of Florida, they had a really good engineering program, specifically civil engineering, and compared to some of these other universities throughout the state. So that was a big factor for me. For me, it wasn't necessarily the location or the school size, but more of the program they had to offer. And not just that, but the resources outside of that own college, because there is national pro college clubs that are specific for civil engineering, and I knew the university had a really big hand in that club national wise. So they were very involved in helping prepare the next generation of what would be civil engineers.
So I would like to, I guess, now that we talked about when you started applying and eventually you chose the University of Florida and why you chose it, which was because of the major. I- Could you share with us what is a lesson or something that you learned in college at UF that was maybe outside of the classroom that you maybe wouldn't have learned if you didn't go to college?
I think it was just how big networking and your social skills can actually get you in life. And it was important for me to be involved in my extracurriculars or in different clubs throughout my college life, just because the connections you can make, you never know when it will come back and actually help you in life, or you don't know when you might need someone, or so and so knows someone that else that can help you.
Mhm.
And you can make networking and just building interpersonal skills are just so huge. And that's something that going to college really makes you step outside your comfort zone and work on that, and help build a community around you.
You being a first generation student, if you could give some advice, because we do have a lot of families, parents, and students, or parents of first generation students
Hmm.
um, that maybe they are unsure or they don't really know if going to college is right for them. What would you tell them based on all of your achievements and your personal journey, your experience being a first generation student and being able to succeed academically? And right now you are a successful, civil engineer. What would you say to them, those people who are not sure if college is right for them or the right thing to do?
I think once you're able to get into a school, it's being able to go in there with that confidence that you deserve to be there. You're in the same spot that everyone else is, so it doesn't matter what background they came from. It can be a little discouraging, know that they had extra resources that you may have not, but you deserve to be there because they looked at what you have done and you put in the work just like they did. And that shouldn't be something for you to shy away from. You always got to be proud of what you were able to do with what you had, and know that if you're in the position as anyone else around you, then you deserve to be there.
Exactly. Well, beautiful, beautifully said. And I'm sure your parents are really proud of you. I just kind of want to know what role did they play in the college application process throughout, when you were in elementary school, high school? What is it that they did that, helped you achieve all of these amazing opportunities and things that you've done over the years?
Uh, Being first generation is a little hard, but because they don't have a lot of resources to give in terms of feedback or additional help. But the one thing they always had was their support. If I needed something academically, they'd take me. It was the little things more than anything. But it's hard to say what they necessarily did more than anything. They were just a role model for how one should work with what they have.
Exactly. And you said something, it's like little things, but it really is, a little goes a long way, and it's
Little things add up.
exactly. Yeah. And it's so important for parents who maybe are unsure if like they don't know if they're doing enough. I mean, I'm sure you remember if you needed to go to a baseball game or a football game that was super early, like the pit time your mom took you, or something, if you needed a resource, a book or something, your parents helped you. Even though they don't realize it does make a difference. Or even if you don't realize it at the time, they don't have to be writing your essays or taking the SAT or ACT for you, but just knowing that they're there. If anything, if you ever needed anything, at least for me, it was like, okay, if I really do need something, they're going to try to do their best to help me or provide me with the resources or help me find the answer. So, thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing that with us. Thank you so much for doing this interview and helping inspire other first generation Latinos. Doesn't have to be Latinos, because there's a bunch of first generation, even Americans or people who come from other countries other than, Latin America. It's really important to hear success stories like yours, and to try to be inspired by this, because unfortunately, a lot of people think that because we are first generation, or because maybe our parents didn't know how the process worked, that they get scared, or they don't try to pursue something because of fear or because of uncertainty. So it's really cool, and that's what we're trying to do by having you here and share your story, to show other people like, hey, it's possible to do awesome things and to, graduate from a great college and get a great job if you work hard and if you take advantage of the opportunities, which is something that you certainly did all throughout high school, college, and currently in your day-to-day life, in your job. So thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us. Thank you so much for being here. We'll love to have you whenever you want to come back. And if you are interested in learning more tips, more strategies to help your student to get accepted into a great college with scholarships, but you really don't know where to begin, we do have a free resource in the link in my bio, or if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook, we do have a free resource in the comments section down below. So make sure to check it out. Take advantage of that free presentation on the top secrets to go to college with scholarships. It's a resource that we created for you, for parents who are kind of lost, or maybe they know a little bit about the college admissions process, but they would like to have kind of more information. So we do answer some typical or some of the most frequently asked questions that we get from parents and students. So check it out. It's completely free. And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another success story with more tips. So don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to follow us, to subscribe for more videos and more content like this. And Daniel, once again, thank you so much. It was awesome having you. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you later. Bye.